Okay, so here we are live once again with another Masters of the Universe Origins unboxing, and this is from the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe cartoon collection, and this is Clawful. So if I could only pick one character from the vintage line to have the cartoon version of them, I would pick Clawful. And you might think I'm crazy. Why would I not pick one of the main characters? And that's, well, I kind of feel like as far as most of our main characters, like let's say it's Trapjaw here. This is a great figure of Trapjaw, and I think it's probably the best figure of Trapjaw we've gotten in the Origins format. However, if I'd never gotten him, I would have thought the original Origins figure was close enough. I would have been fine with it. Skeletor, love the Filmation version of Skeletor, but if I'd only had that first Origins version of Skeletor, would have been fine with it. Clawful, on the other hand, looks completely different in the action figure, the vintage action figure versus. In fact, let me go grab it. I meant to grab that earlier. Let me real quick. I'll be right back. I promise. I know exactly where he is. The original Clawful looked like just absolutely different, and I still don't have the Origins version of the original Clawful, but I do have the vintage version of the original Clawful. Now, unfortunately, my Clawful is missing his armor, but you can see that he's mostly like a deep tan humanoid skin color, like a little bit darker than He-Man, I think. But he's got like a red, kind of insectoid looking head, just kind of vaguely cartoonishly insectoid. He's got one pincer and one really large lobster claw. Somebody was eating at a seafood restaurant and ordered the lobster and started playing around with that thing and was like, "Hey, I got a new idea for a He-Man action figure." So, but you can see, like I said, mostly humanoid skin color, red trunks, red claws, uh, blue boots, the reptile feet, and a red kind of vaguely insectoid crustacean type head. Whereas this guy is all red. His head looks a little bit more like a dragon or something. He's still got pincers, but he's got the same size pincer on either hand, and then he's got orange boots with the reptile feet and blue trunks, and he's also got orange armor. If this guy had his armor, it would be red armor, but again, unfortunately, don't have the armor from my original Clawful. Here's the artwork on the back, and we see Clawful with Trapjaw, and Trapjaw has the Horn of Evil, and they're battling the sorceress. She's up there in the parapet in Castle Grayskull, fighting off against these guys. And it says, as seen on Driel's Return. So that's the episode that this is inspired by. And then we got the Crossel artwork here. We got Evelyn, Webstore, Clawful, and Spikor, who is the last figure from this line I need to get. So I guess I need to go ahead and get on getting Spikor, don't I? Because he's the last one I need in this wave. So let's go ahead and open them up. Oh, real quick, should probably put the instructions. Includes Horn of Evil and twist and turn into powerful battle positions. All right, well, let's go ahead and open them up. And we do have a comic book, but I believe it's a comic book I've already read. Actually, no, it doesn't look familiar to me. I was thinking it was the same comic book that would have come with Evelyn and Webstore, but it's not. It's a new comic book. So let's go ahead and read it. And it says, Honor Among Thieves. And it's got He-Man looking puzzled, by which I mean he looks confused, and by which I also mean it looks like he's on a puzzle. So dual meaning, puzzle. Get it? All right. Well, let's move on. All right. So, and then we got Stinkor, who actually was never on the Filmation cartoon. We got Spikor, we got Skeletor, and then we have Clawful himself. And let's go ahead and get started reading it. So we have this panel here of a bunch of our heroes and villains surrounded by rays of light. And it says, He-Man says, something tells me we're no longer on Eternia. And Orko says, geez, what gave that away? And then Skeletor says, where in the stinking universe are we? And then Stinkor says, How can I know? And then only moments ago, the Masters of the Universe, along with Skeletor and his soldiers of evil. That's something that bothers me. Like, why would the good guys be called the Masters of the Universe? It's the name of the toy line. It'd be like if every episode Captain Kirk and Mr. Spock said, "Well, looks like we're on another Star Trek." It's just the name of the toy line. Like they're the heroic warriors and the evil warriors. That's how they were labeled on the back of the package. Rant over. Although I should point out that on the original Filmation cartoon in the Bible, it actually identified the villains as the masters of the universe, which makes a lot more sense to me. Like, who do you think is going to proclaim themselves to be the masters of the universe? The good guys or the bad guys? I'm just saying. All right. So, moments ago, our heroes and villains were transported from Eternia to an unknown destination across the cosmos. Welcome to Pandaria, a world ravaged by your ideologies. A starship appears in the sky. Long ago, on Eternia, we pitted you in deadly games that He-Man won. Oh yeah, I remember that episode. We never set foot here. Obsessed with your concepts of good and evil, we warred to prove which was mightier. Now, got them, the heroes and villains there. Now, we wish to conclude our conflict. Throughout the capital, we have hidden weapons. Your battle will dictate the victor of our war. And I notice also one of our heroes is Clamp Champ, who also was never in the animation, but maybe they'll do cartoon collection versions of Clamp Champ and Stinkor anyway. Hello there, Max Games and Toys. Welcome back. All right, so the game begins now. And hesitation and self-doubt are rarely foibles of evil. Wasting no time, the forces of darkness take to the ruins and search of an upper hand. In a strange oval room lies the high-tech Onyx sarcophagus. Spikor and Clawful are fearful of the force that silently beckons from within. And then the Horn of Evil. And Spikor picks it up. Lacking the wisdom to quell his... I think I'm supposed to read this first. The Horn of Evil, the sinister artifact that can transform all in its wake from good to evil. Lacking the wisdom to quell his foolish curiosity, Spikor blows the baneful instrument which spews a pestilence from its gaping maw. Wow, that's some nice $3 words there. For a dread moment, all is eerily silent. The strange shattered megalopolis. For time immemorial, they've been hiding in plain sight. A lost, unknown race of eldritch beings called Fractures. They are without scruples or allegiance, and were summoned to the dark call, which seized upon the frequency, bringing their symmetry into sharp focus. Man, this is some purple prose for a kid's comic. It's packed in free with a toy. It kind of reminds me of what Stan Lee was saying when Martin Goodman told him not to use so many big words because kids don't know that many big words. And Stan says, well, if they don't know, they'll ask their parents. And if their parents don't know, they can look it up in the dictionary. Kids definitely going to need to be getting a dictionary for this issue. Yeah, Spikor, I never actually had the original Spikor when I was a kid. So he's not one that I actually have a whole lot of nostalgic attachment to. But I probably will buy the cartoon collection of Spikor just for the sake of being completionist. Anyway, they came and shook. Then came a shook that cracked the air. The sound of 1,000 whips lashing at once suddenly. Jagged forms made of black lightning vibrate into view. Maybe I should blow the horn again. Be gone, lightning plague! Don't! What do you think they want from us? I don't plan to find out. Badoom! Shatters some of these creatures. Though valiant, that's the only time he's been described as valiant, Skeletor's energy blast was useless against the onslaught. What's the plan? Yes, what do we do? You distract them while I escape. He's not a valiant guy. Masters, curses! I need your help. See, that's another problem I have with them calling the good guys the masters of the universe. You think Skeletor's going to call literally anybody master, let alone the team that He-Man is on? You bumbling boobs! That's the kind of thing I'm used to. And He-Man looks rather casual, considering what's going on. Wow, Skeletor has some nerve asking us for help. Does anyone else think they're hallucinating? For the briefest, tempting moment, He-Man contemplates letting Skeletor and his men be overtaken by the cosmic monstrosities, but then his moral compass, his greatest strength, kicks in. Much like Superman, He-Man's real superpower is not his superhuman strength, it's his heart. All right, we must save Skeletor. Do we have to? I don't like it any more than you do, Orko, but He-Man is right. Zoom, Kroom. Curse you, most of all, He-Man. We're yeah, there we go. He's trying to help you, dude. Just as Skeletor thought he would meet his final destiny, the masters of the heroic warriors arrived. Through the Horn of Evil, summoned the weird Inklings. Like all forces in the darkness, there is only one cure: the power of light. Well, it's too bad Sunman wasn't around for this adventure, because that's kind of his thing, isn't it? An excellent game, Masters. You have proven that good is truly more powerful than evil. However, we still don't understand why. And then He-Man says, and this would be the moral of the cartoon episode, I'm sure. Nice pick of He-Man there. There is no honor amongst thieves. Virtue cannot be stolen. It must be earned. Thus, the Bendari return the Eternians, honoring the battle's outcome as their own. So again, since these comics are kind of short, this is kind of a very brief, very abrupt ending, but I still think it was an entertaining story, especially, like I said, it's a kid's comic, and the writing had some interesting flow to it, like that purple prose. I kind of figure that that would be entertaining for a kid, and they'd get learn some new vocabulary words and impress their teacher. And when the teacher's like, well, where did you learn that? Oh, from reading He-Man comics. Max says, has it ever happened to you that the mini comics, that you read the mini comics with the voice of Filmation in your head? Yeah, I mean, like, you could tell, like, I was at least trying to sound like Skeletor somewhat, because that's just what Skeletor sounds like to me. He's got that Alan Oppenheimer voice. Yeah, like, he never actually said yeah, but whatever. We always think of him as saying that anyway. I just had my X-Acto knife over here. What did I do with it? Frustration. I set Trapjaw on top of it when I was talking about those. All right, so he's got a couple of rubber tabs around each of his wrists. So go ahead and cut those. A couple of rubber tabs around each of his ankles. Go ahead and cut those. And then we get Clawful out of his package. And Clawful comes with one accessory, which is the Horn of Evil. Now, something I've noticed that is Clawful, but he looks a lot different from the original toy, don't he? Now, something that I noticed about these cartoon collection figures that I am not a fan of is they often don't come with the iconic weapon that the original figure would have come with. For example, if you remember when we opened up Web Store did not come with his orange Grayskull rifle. So he did come with, that green cat, and that was kind of cool. And likewise, it's good to have the Horn of Evil. By the way, let's go ahead and put that in his pincer and see what he looks like holding on to that. Can he actually get it up to his I don't know if lips is the right term, but can he actually get it up to his mouth to blow the horn? It fell out, so pretty close. Close enough for action figures anyway, I think. But yeah, Clawful does not come with the weapon that the original figure came with, which was the green Grayskull mace. Thankfully, I got a 3D printer, so I was able to fix that, and I printed him out a Grayskull mace. So we're going to go ahead and put that into his pincer, and there he is holding it. He holds it nice, and it fits in there nice and tight. And of course, it does have the hand guard, which I actually think is a little too small to loop it over there like the way that the original figure did. But you can still kind of loop it around the pincer a little bit. It's just a little tight. And it's not going to go in there like all the way, I think. So really, it works better just I think to just go ahead and clamp it into his pincer like that. And like I said, he does not have the large lobster claw like the original Clawful had, but he was redesigned for animation. So that's actually the change that makes the most sense for me as far as like the animation, because in animation you want the characters to be kind of symmetrical. So I am going to have to print out another one of these, aren't I, for my vintage Clawful. Maybe if I loop it over like the smaller part of the claw. But yeah, this one's going to go with the cartoon version. So so yeah, much different in design from the original. He's got the claws are both the same size, different color boots, different color skin other than the head, different color armor if I had the armor, different colored trunks. The belt's the same color, so that's something they have in common. So that's nice. All right, but I really liked Clawful on the Filmation cartoon. I felt like he was one of the better of the henchmen, and definitely one of the more intelligent of the henchmen. Most of Skeletor's henchmen were pretty stupid. Like, Trapjaw was a complete moron. Triclops was maybe of slightly below average intelligence. Beastman had kind of a low cunning, but he was still not the sharpest knife in the drawer. Same with Merman. But Clawful actually was rather clever and devious. And if there was any of the original henchmen of Skeletor on the cartoon, that could possibly overthrow Skeletor and take over as leader, Evil Lyn would probably be like the top contender for that, but Clawful would have been a close contender after her. I would say that that if Evil Lyn was to overthrow Skeletor, Clawful would be the one where she'd want to watch her back with Clawful. I'm just saying. So anyway, let's go ahead and discuss the articulation on this guy. So Clawful can look up about that far. He can look down about that far. He can tilt his head kind of quizzically from side to side, rotate the head all the way around. Of course, the arms rotate all the way around at the shoulders and move up about that far. He does have a single joint of articulation at elbow, which bends in about that far, straightens out about that far, and rotates all the way around. He's got a single joint of articulation at the wrist that rotates all the way around, and then also has a horizontal articulation, so it moves back and forth like that. Clawful can rotate all the way around at the waist. He can kick up about that far, bend his knees about that far, single joint of articulation, and he rotates all the way around. He's got a boot cut, boot rotates all the way around, ankle points down about that far, and points up about that far. So that is pretty much that for the articulation on Clawful. The colors are good. They're very reminiscent of how he was colored on the animated series. It's a nice, dark, deep red, dark yet vibrant blue on the trunks, vibrant shade of orange, nice light orange. Kind of similar to the color that Man-at-Arms armor was on the classics version of Man-at-Arms. So, and the Horn of Evil, wherever I put that, that's a really cool accessory. They did a good job with that. I need to find where I put that because I'm gonna want to have that for my thumbnail, aren't I? Did it fall on the floor? Did it fall at some point where I just didn't notice? I don't see it in my box of stuff down here. Where did I put it? Oh, well, I'm going to put the mace back in his hand because I'm pretty happy with how this mace turned out. So, yeah, looks pretty cool. Looks pretty cool with the mace. So yeah, definitely worth picking up Clawful. Like I said, if I could only pick one animated version, there's the Horn of Evil. if I could only pick one animated version of a Masters of the Universe character, Clawful would be the one that I would pick, just because the animated version is so unique from the original toy. But like a Merman, for example, and you know I'm a sucker for Merman. You know I love Merman. Merman's one of my favorites. Uh, you know, if I hadn't been able to get the Filmation version of Merman, I would have been totally cool with having my Lords of Power Merman or my vintage toy style Merman. I had Merman covered, but I do love the Filmation design, so I was glad to get Merman. Tila, I actually think that's one where the Filmation design was actually the best. My favorite design for Tila is that Filmation design. But even still, like if I had to just stick with my regular Origins Tila so I could get this Clawful, I would take the Clawful. I mean, I'm just saying. And I don't even have like the vintage toy version of Clawful in Origins yet. That's one that's a hole in my collection, a void that needs to be filled. So maybe that'll be one that I try to get sometime in the near future. Anyway, I think that's pretty much it for Clawful. I'm going to be back on Monday with another Masters of the Universe unboxing. And I'm supposed to tomorrow night get together with Captain Have Fun, and we're going to stream something. I know there's a lot of topics that he and I could be going over. So, I'm looking over this armor, and I don't think this armor is. I mean, I'm sure it's removable, but I don't see any kind of like. Usually they have some kind of tab or something on here to open it up, and I do not see one on Clawful. So I'm guessing if you want to get this one out, you got to take it apart and heat up with a hair dryer, heat up the armor and kind of stretch it off of them. Lone Dragon said, "What?" So he's here. I'm going to acknowledge him since I haven't had a chance to do that yet. I've been busy prattling on, but always good to see you, my friend, and always good to see Max Games and Comics. So we had like a few people show up in our chat that are regulars here. Always nice to see them. And if you too would like to become a regular of this channel, it's very easy to do, and it doesn't cost you a dime. All you gotta do is hit like and subscribe and hit the little bell, and that'll warn you anytime I go live. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about Clawful, both this design and the character in general. Yeah, I really like him too. I think it's definitely a lot different from, like I said, the original toy design. Like to the extent where like these could almost be two completely different characters. But I do really like the cartoon version of Clawful particularly. So I'm really happy to have him. Max says, great review from an 80s fan. Thank you very much. I'm definitely an 80s fan. I go all the way back with Masters of the Universe. I go even before the Filmation cartoon. I'm a mini comics guy, actually, but that doesn't mean I don't love the old cartoon and don't enjoy. I even enjoy watching it today. It's a lot of fun. It's like it's one of those things like the old Batman television show where I can kind of turn off the adult part of my brain and still enjoy it with like the inner child part of me. And sometimes I catch some things that I didn't quite catch before. It can get a little more deep than than you might remember, and there's some also some kind of adult humor in there that kind of goes over the kids' heads, but adults catch it. I guess you had to do something to entertain the grown-ups who'd be sitting and watching the cartoon with their children. I don't necessarily mean like dirty humor, but a little bit of that. but a little more of sort of sophisticated humor that a child might not get, but an adult definitely would. Anyway, that's it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. We will talk to you next time. Bye.